Just a notification at 9:42 p.m. started it all. It was a regular Tuesday night, the kind that smelled like leftover Thai takeout and sounded like a TV that no one was really watching. My husband, Matt, sat 3 feet away on the couch, half scrolling through Reddit, half ignoring me like he had mastered the art of it. I was staring at the same candle ad on Instagram for the 3rd time when my phone buzzed. I didn't think twice until I saw the name. Caleb Hart. I blinked. Caleb Hart. It had been 8 years. We hadn't spoken since that last New Year's party in college, the one where we almost kissed but didn't. Or maybe we did. It was fuzzy. I tapped the message like it had been waiting for me to do so for years. Hey, is this still Emily West? I stared at it, heartbeat ticking faster, like I was doing something wrong just by reading it. Greater than yeah. Who's this? I already knew who it was, but I wanted to be sure, or maybe I wanted to give him permission to say it. He replied faster than I expected. Greater than it's Caleb Hart, from UNCW. I leaned back into the couch, letting the phone rest on my chest. My brain raced. What did he want? Why now? Did he know I was married? Of course he knew. Facebook had made sure of that. Matt didn't notice the shift in my breathing or the way I suddenly sat straighter. If he did, he didn't say anything. He was too busy watching another Guy Builds a Cabin with His Bare Hands video on YouTube. I could have grown wings and flown away. He wouldn't have flinched. Caleb and I texted back and forth for an hour. It was harmless at first. You still in Wilmington? Nope, at Atlanta. You? Charlotte, not far. I learned he was divorced. I told him I was a graphic designer. He told me he ran his own gym. You always were into lifting, I said. You always liked watching, he replied. That one? That was the first red flag. But red flags can look like roses when you're bored in a beige marriage. Matt wasn't a bad guy, let's get that clear. He was stable, kind, never cheated, never yelled. He just stopped showing up in our marriage. Emotionally, sexually, spiritually, we were 2 roommates with matching towels. I used to fantasize about Matt back when we were dating. How he'd touch the small of my back in public, how he'd write me notes on Post-its and hide them in my lunch bag. Now, I fantasized about him noticing when I wore something new. So when Caleb started sending voice notes telling me I sounded the same, laughing at my dumb jokes, asking questions Matt hadn't asked in years, like what made me feel alive lately, I listened and I answered. It was just coffee. That's what I told myself the first time we met. We picked a cafe in between our cities, neutral territory. I wore my favorite jeans and the green sweater that made my eyes look like a forest. When I saw him walk in, I felt 17 and 35 at the same time. He hugged me like he had a right to, and I let him. We talked for 3 hours, not just small talk, deep stuff. The kind you reserve for people who still see you as a person, not a to-do list. As we stood up to leave, he touched my arm. You ever think about that night? He asked. I knew which night. I didn't have to ask. Sometimes, I whispered. Me too. Then he smiled, handed me his card, because apparently people still do that, and walked out. That's how it started. Not with a kiss, not with a bed, with words. But words are dangerous when they're used to open doors you thought were sealed shut. We talked every day. At first just texts, then calls, then FaceTime. The day he said he missed me was the day I stopped sleeping next to Matt, even though I still physically did. One day I got in my car and drove to Caleb's place. I told Matt I had a client meeting. What I had was a 2-hour conversation on Caleb's balcony, with wine and long eye contact and one stupid kiss. Once the kiss happened, the rest followed like dominoes falling in perfect rhythm. The first night we slept together, I cried, not because I regretted it, but because I didn't. Matt called to ask if I wanted him to heat up leftovers, I said no, I'd already eaten. Technically, it was true. If you've never cheated, here's the truth. It doesn't always come with instant regret. Sometimes it comes with electricity, with secret smiles, with the feeling of being wanted so badly, someone would risk everything to touch you. That feeling is addictive. The guilt shows up later, usually when you're driving home and wiping lipstick off your collarbone in the rearview mirror. I still went back, again and again. It happened on a Thursday. Matt found the texts. I had gotten sloppy, or maybe I secretly wanted to be caught. I was in the shower when he read them. He didn't yell, didn't cry, just sat on the toilet lid when I stepped out, phone in his hand, and asked, "Who's Caleb?" My blood froze. I couldn't lie. I was too tired. So I told the truth. All the things you used to say to me, he says them now. He left the house that night and didn't come back for 3 days. The divorce was quiet. We split everything down the middle, except the memories. Those stayed uneven. Some days I held more, some days Matt probably did. Caleb and I tried to make it work. But relationships born out of broken ones are fragile. There's no real foundation. There's sparks and apologies. It lasted 6 months, then we fizzled. I haven't spoken to him since. It's been 3 years. Sometimes I think about that night my phone buzzed at 9:42 p.m. What if I hadn't replied? What if Matt had looked up from Reddit just once that night? What if? But here's what I've learned. Affairs don't just start with sex. They start with silence, with gaps, with needs unmet and words unsaid. The text didn't start the affair. The marriage did.